So far in our video series, we've answered the following questions. What is ISO 17025? Why do we need standards? Why is ISO 17025 important in terms of policy, procedures, and instructions, and why does that matter? Why is ISO 17025 so important to us in forensic science? Why should the criminal defense community even care about ISO 17025? How can ISO 17025 provide a simple method to develop themes for cross-examination of all experts? How can ISO 17025 be used by the criminal law practitioner to help get discovery? Then we also asked, can ISO 17025 answer the question as to who the actual analyst is? In this video, we examine how ISO 17025 can help minimize the particular problem of fraudulent credentials in forensic science. It seems as if the forensic science arena is particularly attractive to charlatans. There are testifying state expert witnesses who overstate their credentials and qualifications every day in court. The most shocking of which was probably the infamous Fred Zane, who was the subject of our Week 13 Forensic Science Geek of the Week challenge on our blog. But there are also more subtle forms of downright dishonesty. And this comes with the seminar. And what this is folks that have particularly come to be, and they say, I've been doing this for such a long time and therefore I must be doing it right. Those types of folks. And I've blogged about this before in our particular blog, The Importance of Proper Credentials in Forensic Science, where I wrote, there's a large demonstrable difference between a true credentialed scientist who attained a PhD, or in the case of a medical examiner, a MD, or in the case of an engineer, a PE, through a brick and mortar institution versus a machine operator. A machine operator is simply a person who is an expert in employing a checklist, an expert in pushing a button on a machine. This type of person is not an expert in anything beyond that checklist or that button, whereas a true credentialed scientist is someone who can explain the key question, the question of why. In another post, I wrote, a lot of wasted ink is devoted on the faux scientist's resume to seminars. Almost all of these seminars do not have a function to test the understanding, the retention, the proficiency in the concepts presented. Most are at best attendance-based. Some folks honestly read the newspaper during the seminar. Still others Facebook as a lecturer presents. Some even sleep. Some have their agency pay for it and don't even show up at all. I know because I'm there at these. For any scientist, a resume full of seminars that are attendance-based and has a lack of proficiency testing training within these seminars is a red flag to me, and it should be to you too. On the extreme, our most recent histories are replete with individuals who overstate their credentials, even when the most very basic exercise of due diligence, such as Google, would perhaps discover individuals such as the recently indicted and convicted Ohio State toxicologist. James Ferguson was charged with 2 counts of falsification for lying on the stand during a 1990 murder trial. At the time, James was a Franklin County chief toxicologist. Ferguson was a key witness in the county trial of Virginia Lefevre, who was convicted of poisoning her husband more than 2 decades ago. It turns out he overstated his credentials. ISO 17025 requires, per Section 5.2, titled Personnel, for laboratories to exercise due diligence on all testing and reporting personnel, including contractors, to make sure that the technical personnel and their stated credentials are in fact verified, not just simply stated, so that way the Ferguson disaster doesn't repeat.